welcome to the latest episode of 305 Vox Populi here in the town of Miami Lakes. I'm Mayor Manny Cid, and check out who we have with us today. We have Mario Ramil. How you doing, Mario?
What's up, Mr. Mayor? Mayor Cid.
Manny, it's all good,
Manny,
bro.
okay.
Manny,
I don't know how to address you. Yeah. I want to be right with you.
But I hear you might run for council in the future, so we'll get there.
We'll
get
see,
there.
dude.
We'll
If
get
the
there
money's right, do they pay you a lot?
Not
I'm kidding.
really.
Go ahead. I'm
Not
sorry.
really.
No, go ahead.
So, question for you to start this off, to
There you
break
go.
the ice.
Let's go.
What's your why in terms of when did you make that decision?
You're going heavy,
To
dude.
say we have to.
They're
We got
going
to
to say
start
my horoscope or
No,
something.
we got
first.
we
Okay.
got to start it off that way. When did you make that decision to say I want to make people laugh? I want to make people happy.
When I failed the math FCAT, I said, I can't do this shit. I mean, it's tough. I got to be funny.
Serious?
Yeah. No. Well, to an extent, right? Like academics, I did all right in, but effortlessly, I would always be that guy to kind of like alleviate the tension in things, I noticed early on I can make my teachers laugh, and then they feel bad when they flunk me. Get ahead. You know what I'm saying? You know how it is. And so just throughout life, man, I've always loved it. I've always gravitated towards just if you can make a tense situation a little better, then I feel like you have a responsibility to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I learned early on I have a little bit of that. So I never thought I could turn it into like a career. I knew there was something there. But yeah, I don't think I was a class clown either. Because for me, like, the class clown was that annoying kid in the back that before the test, you know what I'm saying? And then all the kids kind of chuckle. Like, I would make the teachers and security laugh. I'd make my classmates laugh. Like, I was always a little more self-aware that way, Like, that's the teachers you got to make laugh. The ones that matter.
So when did you say I can make this into a career, right? Going from, making people laugh even in high school is awesome. It's a great way to make friends. It's a great way to ease that tension sometimes that exists in high school. But when did you realize, maybe after that, like, oh man, I got something special here. I've been gifted. God has gifted me with this gift, and I have the ability to make a career out of it.
Even in high school, I knew I wanted to do something in the arts, right? I've always liked film, music, I play instruments and stuff. It wasn't until about a week before my daughter was born, 2013, that I'm like, all right, that when you're faced with that reality, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're about to be a father, and I was a young dad. I'm like, then nothing else compares to that. Like, everything else that I was scared of, like, that I feel like getting on stage, trying to pursue this, like, that falls short from now you're responsible for another, like I'm barely responsible with my own life. You know what I'm saying? Now I gotta, so, I was working a job I didn't care too much for. I built up, I'm kind of like you people. I went city first, and then I went state. I worked for the state attorney's office.
Good.
And I was working, good. He's like, I like that.
Wait, you're an attorney?
No.
Okay.
I just worked. I worked in the offices.
Okay.
I worked in the offices. Yeah. So I started off as I did like, they call them runners.
Got it.
So I would transport information, stuff like that, from the courthouse back to CPP or the felony division. And I did that for about 5 years. And then I worked my way up to felony, domestic violence unit. Shout out to Moves. It's a weird shot. It's the weirdest shout out you've ever gotten here.
But you didn't crack jokes during
all the time.
Got it.
Which is another. Okay, so I'm doing that, right? Well, I'll get to that. So I'm doing that. 5 years in. I'm doing that early on. I'm about to have a kid. I get this real life job. I slowly started seeing my life become what I never thought it would be. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you hear. I like biographies and stuff like that, and I would watch a lot of them. And I was like, I always kind of find parallels in my life with some of the people that I look up to. And I'm like, damn, this is the part of the story that you find yourself doing. Like, this is the crossroad, right? Either you go this way and get stuck in that for the next 30 years and then get bitter, hate your family. One day look at your wife and go buy, you know what I'm saying? And then you get a divorce. Now you have 2 kids. One of them doesn't look like you. You know what I'm saying? So, or you go the other way and risk. It's more of a gamble, but I believe the return's bigger, you know? And so for me, that crossroad was sitting in the state car. I was transporting boxes. Somebody's ring went off. That happens all the time in Miami Lakes. Tan tirando tiro. You ever get that? I'm sorry. So I'm sitting at the state car. It's so annoying all the time. Me robaron un box. Me robaron an Amazon package. Yeah. Amazon package. All right, I'm sorry. You can edit that out. It's a great time. So I'm sitting in the car, and it's midday. It's hot. I'm wearing the badge, my shirt tucked in, and I'm like, damn, dude, like, is this it? It really hit me. I think my daughter wasn't even born. It was a few months away. And I'm like, what's that thing? I really had that moment where I'm like, what's that thing you wanted to do? Like this, you're right there. You're at the two roads right now, dude. You can maybe do something right now that in the next 5 years you'll reap, you know? And I go, what's the thing? So I Googled, like, how do you break into the industry? Like, comedy. That's the first thing. I was like, how do you get into comedy? Let's just say that. It was such a juxtaposition from where I was. How do I break into that? You know what I'm saying? I live this Clark Kent life where by day I'm in these gray walls with these inmates, co-workers that you laugh and you jive with and stuff like that. But outside of that, you would never hang out with these people, you know? So, I'm kidding. So, all right. So I Googled it. And the first thing that came up was stand-up comedy open mics. I thought open mics were like for slam poetry and stuff like this stuff. Yep. I didn't, for some reason, I knew people play guitar and stuff at open mics, but I didn't think you started stand-up that way. Or comedy in general, you know? I thought you did magic tricks or something there. And so one of the first articles on Google was Miami Improv at Coconut Grove. I don't know if you remember. Yep. And so I clicked on it, and it said to get stage time, it was linked to like a Facebook or whatever, and somebody's name is like Mike Cintron. Shout out to Mike Cintron. He was the first person. He was booking open mics at the Improv. And so I called him. I was like, I'll figure this out. I called him all nervous and stuff. I'm like, hi, Mike? Little dude. He's like, yeah, what's up? I go, hi, sir. Yeah, I was wondering about your open mics and how to maybe get involved. He's like, bring 10 people. I'll give you 5 minutes. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, bring 10 people. I'll give you 5 minutes. You want to get on? What's your name? I go, Mario Ramil. He goes, all right, stop by. 10 people, 5 minutes. Clicks. I was like, oh, man. I need to get 10 people. Like, I got to figure this out. And just like that, a week before my daughter was born. It was a week before she was born. I went to the Improv, and I obviously m'empape with like how to comedian, like what first time comedians, how did they do? And most of them that I would see would talk about bombing. So I'm like, all right, at least I convinced myself that if I'm going to go up there, I'm probably going to bomb. But that's not the end of it, you know? So I went up, I didn't bomb. And I brought 10 people. And that did something. You know, that did something. And I go, all right, maybe this is the thing.
Man, but you know, and especially for those kids that are going to be watching this, how powerful that message was that you took that risk and all you did was Google. You Googled the path. You went down you made a phone call and you took that leap of faith. But going from high school to making the transition from the state attorney's office to doing your first improv and not bombing, actually doing great. What was that first viral hit that put you on the map? Was it that first? No, it was the first improv, or what was that moment, that viral moment? Wait, Mario Yamil has something special. Like,
well, in retrospect, I didn't do great. I didn't bomb. You know what I'm saying? So that did get kind of the engine going. But the first viral thing. So what I noticed was the second time I did stand up was at the Fort Lauderdale Improv. And I didn't realize it then, but when I called to do, now I'm kind of hooked, right? You didn't bomb, dude. What? I didn't believe in you. God did. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all right, let me figure this out again. Like that. Let me see what's
DJ Khaled.
Shout out to Khaled, dude. Let me see what's the next thing. You know what I'm saying? So I called and they're like, oh, it's at the Fort Lauderdale Improv, same thing. 10. It's a bringer show. They call them bringer show. So you go and you kind of like, if you don't have 10 people, because it's kind of hard, they'll do it like on a Wednesday. You know, because they're not really selling tickets. There's no big act those days. So they have like 20 comedians, like stand up, like whatever. And if you bring 10 people, you get 5 minutes on stage, but that could take 4 hours. So it's I don't even think they do that anymore. But so I called, I go, yeah, I want to do 5 with the same thing, 10, bring 10 people, whatever. And so I'm there in the green room and I remember it ends up being a turkey competition. It was for Thanksgiving. So I end up, it was my second or third time, and it was a competition for you get a turkey and then you get to host. And I'm back there and I didn't realize it was a competition, until I got there. I was like, oh shit, like, what am I doing? It's like my second or third time doing stand-up. But I'm in the green room and I'm hearing guys talking, and people that have done stand-up for like 10, 20 years, like veterans, if you will, And I remember thinking to myself, and no disrespect to him, I remember looking around, I'm going like, damn, but I don't know any of them. To be doing like one thing for that long in my city, and like in this city, and I haven't crossed paths with the name or the face or something. And maybe, I'm not saying that you have that's wrong, that you have to, make a name to do this. And maybe they just love doing it. But for me, it was like, I'm like, I don't want to get to that 10-year mark and not have at least some sort of name out there. So I was like, stand-up's fine, but all these guys are funny. So how do I keep being funny, not just on stage? And that was around the time, it was about 10 years ago. Facebook was really starting to become more than just the connection. It was a lot of, it was like what YouTube was, sharing a lot of stuff. Like, there's a lot of viral videos that started popping on these social media. So I'm like, what if I take some of the skits and the ideas I have and just put them on, not just be funny on stage, but be funny in your pocket as well. You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, all right, so I did the competition. I won. That also, it's the second or third time with these veterans, and I won. I'm like, all right, so I don't know what you're doing, but you seem like you're on the right path here. Don't overthink this, because I'm an overthinker. I'll self-deprecate myself to a position where I don't want to do things anymore. So I'm like, don't convolute this. Don't take it to a place where you're not happy with it anymore. Don't even psychoanalyze this thing. Just let it breathe. Let it create its own ecosystem in your head. You know what I'm saying? Let it consume you in that way, but don't fill it with negativity. And that's what I did. But I was bit by it already. So when I went home, all these ideas that I was waiting to take on stage, I'm like, what if I just film them? What if I just get my phone? The phone, you can film anything on your phone now. We had the little iPhones, and I'm like, I had just had my daughter. She was born. So I started filming stuff with her and me, and that was actually like a month or two after I did my stand-up the first time. But so I'm filming stuff, and the first kind of viral thing was like I did a little dance with her. She was real. She had like a little day, like she was a baby, and that one got like 1 million hits.
Wow.
And at a time where like 1 million was like you made it. You know what I'm saying? And but what started happening was, since I was so new to the comedy game, I started hearing people that I knew in stand-up going like, kind of making the joke of like, oh, he's the comedian with the kid. Like, I'm exploiting her for views. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't like that thought that people are like, oh, but he has a kid. The kid's cute. So, of course, he's going to. So I'm like, okay. And I remember hearing the conversation, like, how you top that? Bill Burr shared it. Wow. Bill Burr reshared on TikTok the video of me. So I'm like, all right, how do I? So I'm like, all right, so you have 1 million. Like, you don't run out of hits, dude. Go on Drake mode, dude, and just whatever you're thinking. Just so then, honestly, a few months, maybe a month or two later, I'm going to the state. It was in the morning, and I had a headache, and because I was going to the state, and that's what happens to your body when you do things you don't want to do often. You know what I'm saying? It like sends you signals. That's real. So I always had a headache, and then that morning I woke up with a massive headache, and Kristen, my fiance, she was like, just take like 3 pills, like you'll be. And I'm like, no, I don't. Cubans don't take pills. Like, we just hold it out and then have a heart attack and die. So I was like, no, I don't want to. How many milligrams are there? And she's like, dude, they're like 200 milligrams, you puss, you know? And that just made me laugh. That whole thing started this idea of like milligrams and like taking medicine. And like, I was being a pussy about it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, so that made me laugh. And I started thinking, you know, maybe I could turn that into like a skit. And then I started thinking about my doctor growing up, Dr. Gil in East Hialeah. It's like 100-year-old doctor from Cuba. And every time he walked in there with like a serious disease or something, he was like, tómate una aspirina. So, nada. ¿Qué es lo que tú tienes?
Un Vivaporru.
Ponte en el pecho. Yeah, haz un Padre Nuestro. And I'm like, he was that kind of doctor. And so I'm like, I loved characters. You know what I'm saying? And I love to, even in conversation, I love to turn into a character. You know, I didn't know I did that. But once you start really tapping into your thoughts like that, as like, this thought I have to write down and really develop, I go, maybe I could do that doctor. And then the joke was maybe giving a prescription that the guy's like, you know, yeah. So I did it, dude. I got into when I came back from work, put the baby to sleep, I got into we're living at my fiance's parents' house for a while. And so I went into the sewing room. It was the only place where there's quiet, silence. And I closed the door and I propped the phone there. And I guess I could say the statute of limitations over, but I wore my mother-in-law's citrus scrubs, which I didn't know the video was going to go viral. So Citrus is like, who the fuck is this guy? Does he work for us? So the video goes viral. I did the doctor and I did a patient. And just what the doctor would do to a patient that comes in, that he would, you know, talking about anxiety and all this. Like, we didn't grow up with, you know? That wasn't a thing when we were growing up. That's falta de un ajiaco. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was stuff that you just get over. And that's why our grandparents just died so young, because they suppress all that. You know what I'm saying? So that was the whole bit. So
that's another. Mental health is a taboo in
our community. Yes, very much. I think it's changing a little bit.
It is.
But thankfully, because I also went through something there, and it was it's serious. It's serious. But yeah. So then the Cuban doctor was the first one that I think people said. First of all, I think it was the first time people saw me. Like, even with the daughter stuff, I don't think, you know, it was just a cute video that went viral. But when I sat there as a character, people were like, no, whatever that, like, he wrote that. Like, that kid, at the time I was 24 or something. That's well scripted. That was funny. Like, that's a character. Like, whatever that kid's doing, like let's pay attention to that for a second. And that was the first time I started getting recognized. I would walk around. I would never forget. I was at the Eagles concert, and I'm walking down the stairs. You know, the stairs, kind of like stairs and little platform stairs. And I'm on the platform part, going down to stairs, and there's some guy coming down the same stairs the other way, and he locks eyes with me, and it was weird because I've never had that. And he goes, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, you're so fucking funny." And I was like, me, like, I thought I did something. He's like, "Oh, keep going." And I was like, whoa, because I never realized. For some dumb reason, I was like, I thought only movie stars got that. Remember, at the time, influencers and all that stuff wasn't so yeah, so it started happening. So that was really the one that popped off and kind of solidified me a bit in the culture, you know.
And before we get to a couple questions, I know Ariel and Albert had and Dave had for you. How does it? I mean, looking back from your high school days, working for the state attorney, taking that risk a week before your daughter was born, saying, "Hey, I want to go on a different path," having that first viral hit to. Well, we're gonna do the dance soon, where you did the 100,000 follower.
100,000, dude. Yeah. 101.
No,
who's counting?
Which is amazing. But looking back,
yeah,
how does it feel? Like looking back at all the grind, because I am sure people along the way told you what they told me. Oye, tú estás loco, ¿qué? Eso no da dinero. Sácate de eso. And now I'm sure you're monetizing, you're doing a great job, but you're making people laugh. But looking back, how does it feel?
Just grateful. I'm you know, if I've realized early on, you're never going to feel complete because you're always chasing something. When you're always hungry, you know, like for me, my biggest thing was, bro, imagine people want to stop you to take pictures because they love what you do. For me, that was when you made it. And then it started happening, and I realized, like, I still felt a little empty. I still felt like I needed more. And throughout my career, I've done, you know, I got to be honest, I've done so many things that I set out to do that I actually was like, if I could just get there. And then I got there. And then it's but that's not enough. So I realized you're always, if the biggest thing you could do is just be grateful that it's something. You know what I'm saying? That you got something. That you decided to do something that was such a gamble. And that people reacted the way. There's so many things that could have gone wrong along the way. But the fact that you're here. So I had to stop along the way. And that's you know, to answer your question, like, that's the most important thing, I think. Just be grateful for the journey. Because you get caught up with, like, all right, but, like, now I gotta be, like, in a Hollywood movie, you know, but now I gotta win an Emmy or an Oscar, you know, now I gotta, so then what is it? Like, what are you chasing? For me, I call it funny money. I told myself, all right, you know what? If I can make a living doing comedy, then everything else is extra. Everything else is a cherry on top. Early on, I told myself that. And about 2 years after quitting the state, which was very scary, I was a full-time comedian. And right now, you know, thank God, you know, my fiance quit her job 2 years ago. We live in this beautiful community. And I am a full-time comic. I do comedy. I tell jokes, Manuel, for a living. I pay my rent and car and everything with funny money, dude. I made it. I don't need anything else. I don't need anything. I know I don't want to sound braggadocious. I don't need any, like, I'm full. You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest takeaway, I think, when I talk to, that's what I try to explain to people when I'm not saying I'm settled. You know, I feel like I feel like I can't do more. I'm always chasing, but I'm happy with where I'm at. And I'm thankful that I get to do these things. I'm thankful. I wake up in the morning and I go, damn, it's Monday and I don't got to go to the state. 5 years.
No
5
more,
years on my
No more
own.
headaches. No more
No more headaches, dude. That's right. Now I get headaches for other reasons, but yeah, so.
That's awesome, brother.
Be grateful.
That's awesome. Be grateful. That's a great message. Yeah. Albert, Rovi, you guys got anything before you get to spinning around and ask me some stuff?
Got you, dude.
I guess I would ask, you know, I've been following you for a while now. I know you have a strong arm on our community.
Yeah.
I was born and raised here too. And I think fans here identify with you.
Yeah.
And comedy, like you said, when we were growing up, wasn't a thing out here. And in recent, there's been a few of you. And I think you're hitting new heights.
Say that again for the people.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. The best one. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. Thank you for that.
How do you see yourself outside of South Florida? Like, is that something you've thought about tackling?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. We just did Tampa a few months ago. And that's my way of, that's a great question. Thank you very much, dude. How do I see myself outside of, that's something early on, I thought about, because sure, you could cater to, you could have local references and stuff like that. And I think that's important, right? You got to build a core, right? But you have to be able to translate that to someone that doesn't know what a Main Street is in Miami Lakes. You know what I'm saying? Jokes. And early on stage, I realized that, you know, you're not going to have the same crowd. And sometimes you're going to do maybe what if you get called? And at the time, I was like, what if you get called for Letterman? What if you get called? But I still thought about write your story. Make it relatable. That's the biggest thing, right? Because George Lopez has all sorts of Mexican jokes, Gabriel Iglesias, you know, but they make it relatable to the point where a Caucasian could, you know, we you know, anyone in the crowd could be like, oh, that's either that happened to me or I know someone that happened to, or, you know what I'm saying? So that's something I always early on, I'm like, okay, if we're going to take this, if we're going to make this bigger than just my community, you know, if we're going to showcase my community around the world, how do we do that?
I think we need an advocate like you know?
Well, and thinking, and I was, and that's exactly how I thought about it. I said, I got to make it relatable. And one of the things I've been doing is like me and my team, we start thinking like, all right, so analytically, where's our demographic? And we just go a little out from that. So Tampa, you know what I'm saying? I know I have some demo there, but not all of them are fans of mine. But how do we infiltrate that community and make them for one night make it a Ramil night? You know what I'm saying? And then we're thinking of hitting New York, California, Texas. You know, we just did Bimini, dude. I had my fat face on the billboard, 2 billboards in Miami, dude, to Bimini show. I never in my life, I'm Mr. International now. I don't know if but I don't know if you can you make like a day for me here in Miami?
We'll make it happen.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying, I mean, I don't know how it goes, but Ramil Day, dude. What day would that be?
You pick.
December, dude.
Okay.
December 5th. Can you do it on my birthday?
That's done.
No, for real?
Para ti, of course.
I'll hold you accountable, dude. What do you hate most about being mayor?
Wait. You're gonna
yeah, let's go, dude. You're of the people. Be transparent, Manny.
We'll get there.
Okay.
There was one more question.
I'm sorry. Cut. Edit that out. Yeah, I'm sorry. What's the question? Go ahead.
Last question, and you get to ask me.
Sit on that one.
My question is, in the comedy world, where does the biggest income come from?
Because they don't pay me here. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Where's the biggest income?
Yeah.
Biggest income? What do you mean by that? Like what's the biggest payday?
No. What's one thing that you do that's what gets you the most money? Like, for example, sponsorships.
Oh, well, personally, not in general. You want to know how much?
Yeah, like in the whole world of comedy.
Okay.
Not a number.
Los Cruceros.
I think. Well, yeah, they do pay well, but I mean, if you're going solo, like what I'm doing, I think live shows, live events pay well. Partnerships, if you enter long-term deals with partnerships, now I have business with several. I don't want to name drop, but like several different companies that they lock you down. You work out a deal and go, listen, I'll drop your name Puerto Rico a few times, and and out of 6 months, this is what you'll get paid for those 6 months, and in return you plug something on social media, you do like you pop up somewhere for them, you know, if they have like a remote somewhere and you pop up there, you drop their name on a podcast or something like Cadillac, you know, so things like that. But also if you're able to create something, like for example, if I say something on a skit, right, in a skit, and it catches traction, you could take that as far as you could write a book about it. You could do merch. You know what I'm saying? If it's trendy and it's catchy enough, like Cid's chips. I want 20% of that. That's good.
Oh, make it happen.
But Cid's chips or whatever, and you say that on a podcast or whatever, and you become, you know, you're eating Cid's chips or whatever. You say something and it catches on, 20%. And it catches on, you make a bag of chips. You know what I'm saying? You start a strip club, Cid's chips. You know, an all-male strip club. Like, you could go as far. I'm giving you options, man. You go as far as you want. You get what I'm saying?
He's
T-shirts.
trying to set up my future after I'm mayor.
Yeah,
so
that's what I do. That's what I do. But yes, you know, and then obviously you could do like private gigs. You know, you could do, and that really you put a price on that. You know that you could that you set your price for. You know, so it is lucrative in that way. You have as far as your imagination can go. You know, like I said, you know, you could say one thing today and turn it into a hat. Turn it into whatever, and then that catches traction. And you go, well, maybe I'll turn that into a book, and then maybe I'll turn that into a short film. and then, hey, maybe I'll turn that into a cartoon. And it's limited by how much you could, it's limited by your imagination, really. It really is. It really is. So with comedy, I hope that answers your question.
That's awesome. So what you got for me?
Okay, let's be serious.
me
Like,
tiraste
no.
uno, me tiraste
But dude, what are we gonna do? Do like little soft questions? It's
No.
If I'm gonna be vice mayor, dude, we gotta be able to be transparent. Okay. Have you ever milked a Miami Lakes cow?
No.
No. How would you?
But if you wanted me to answer that original one, still I'll answer whatever you want me to answer.
That's good.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
good.
want. I
That
don't
means
want
that
to.
You were. Dude. Are you a
100%.
politician? All right. So, what? All right. Let's rephrase it, right? Because that wasn't fair. Who do you hate in our community? No. Who? No. The Grams. No. Take that out. I'm sorry.
He's just kidding.
I'm just kidding, dude. I'm kidding. Now I got fucking death threats from the community. All right. What's the most difficult thing about being? Because I don't think this is a huge community, right? So people could bump into you at the grocery store, at CVS. It's a tight knit, small community. What's the most difficult part about being so seen as such a powerful figure, but being so seen as in a small community like we have here in Miami Lakes?
That's a great question. So I'm a believer. Vice mayor. That's done.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm a big believer that the best cities are the cities between 30 and 60,000 people. Why? Because you get to meet everybody.
Right.
At some point, you get to talk to some. So I literally walk down the block of any block here in the town of Miami Lakes.
Yeah.
Name a street, and I'll know at least 5 families.
Cowpen.
Yeah, we'll walk it right now. I know at least 3 or 4.
I want to knock on at least 6 doors, and if 5 people answer and don't know you, I want to be mayor.
Can we let's record that after this.
You want to? What are we doing?
That's
Okay.
But yeah, I think
Yeah, taking it. That's the first. Hey, come out with a gun. Hey, go. I'm sorry. Go.
I'll be honest with you. I love it. I think there's.
But what would you consider would be a difficult? Because that sounds like the positive side of it. What is an obstacle? Not an obstacle, but what's difficult about that precisely? That it is a small town.
Man, I think because of that, it's hard to tell people no, right? Because you see people every day. So I basically somebody says, "Hey, I want to cut down my tree." Trees are protected. Now they get mad because they want to. It happens every day.
I
just
believe
so you
that.
know that every day. And I think I gotta say, it's not like if I was a mayor in New York City where there's 8 million people and you're like, no, I can't do that. You'll never see them again. No, I see these folks so I'm like, listen,
Y la mata, and on CBS.
I can't cut your tree. Like there's ordinances protecting our trees. We can't do that. And they're like, so I see them and they just repeat. So I think that's the toughest part, but it turns into an opportunity where become friends with folks, you educate them, you talk to them about why the trees. But I think that's the toughest part because I'm held, while other mayors aren't as connected to the community, I'm held accountable every day.
Right.
Because I see the same folks.
Right.
All wherever it's at. So I think that might be the toughest part because you're held accountable every day. And sometimes you got to tell people, look, unfortunately, we can't do that. La gente se ponen.
No, I could only imagine, dude. I could only imagine.
Some folks. Most folks understand, but there are folks that get really, the tree issues, that's a perfect.
Tree issues is a big
I get that
thing.
every day.
Yeah. But let me tell you, the beautiful trees here in Miami Lakes.
But there's folks who don't want them in front of their house, right? So,
yeah.
But that happens. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But it is tough telling somebody.
Public service announcement. We're not cutting down any trees. That was me being firm as vice mayor.
You're doing good.
But if it has mangoes.
Oh, no, yeah, it's producing. Está produciendo.
Right.
That's a different.
So let me ask the second question. You said it's
ask as many as you want.
Second question here. I don't even know how to phrase this without getting canceled, but Native American land? Is there a lot? The cow pasture out there, is that protected? How much land in Miami Lakes is Native land? Native American land?
So, cool fact. The highest natural point in Dade County is called Madden's Hammock. That is, if you drive down 154th and 87th, on the right-hand side, you see all these. That middle island it's owned by the town now. It's 5 acres.
That corner?
Right in the middle. Those trees, the humongous, looks beautiful. Right in the middle, that island is ours. We own, the town owns it. We don't own the land around it. We don't own it.
Okay.
It's owned by a private family. But the middle land, that used to be it still is the highest natural point in Dake, 27 feet above sea level. So back in the days,
really,
yeah, I've stood in the middle with an archaeologist. It's amazing. We'll take you out.
That's fascinating.
Cool story about that. The Tequesa Indians, who
I love them,
who are extinct.
Oh, sorry.
The Tequesa Indians, that was their burial ground. So
sorry. Yes.
Back in the days, so that was so today there's only been one excavation there.
That was their burial ground. So there's
hundreds.
Really?
Yeah. And then after the Tequesas became extinct through war and disease and different issues, the Seminoles took over, and that's where they fought the Third Seminole War. Billy Bowlegs, of the most famous Seminole, fought out of the
Bowlegs. That's what they used to call him.
That he was the most famous Seminole, and the Spanish used to trade there, and we have some of the artifacts downstairs. So that middle,
is that little glass box down there?
Yep.
Really?
So that middle island is one of the most important archaeological sites in all of Florida.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So
that's cool. I like that stuff. Yeah, and that's what I love about this community. There's so much happening here, but it's such a small town. Why do you guys hate Walgreens?
Why? Because there's only CVS's in town.
What is that, dude? There's no competition. You got a monopoly on it.
There, believe it or not, there was going to be one on a while back. They had a guy that was going to develop it on 154 and 87th on the other side next to Satori, but that fell through. It was going to be a Wawa, a Walgreens, a Wells Fargo, a bank.
You know what it is? There's the residents here. There's probably people that started the community that they're 120 years old. And their person, like one of them is like Roy Walgreens. Like there's probably like a Sarah CVS. Like that's her last name. And so she's like, we don't like the Walgreens. And she's still here. That's what it is. She's still alive here, hanging.
It could be. I don't know.
No?
I don't know.
Okay, so you said early when we started the podcast, before the cameras were on, that you're going to make a day for Ramil.
We said December 5th.
I think you said, you said December 5th. December 5th. You said, no, that's it. We're going to do it. Bring out the papers.
We're going to give you...
The cameras weren't on, but...
We're doing... So what we're planning is we're going to have a comedy night where you're going to perform for the town for free. And
that's crazy.
And we're going to give them a proclamation there. So
that's crazy. I only want to do it.
That's
if you open for me. 5 minutes, dude. We've all thought we could do 5 minutes. I know you have 5 minutes in you.
Believe it or not, there's
Are you talking to the mic? I'm sorry.
There's one gentleman running for city council who used to perform
really
at the
I know
the
who.
Improv.
I know who. Ray?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
So he used to be a
stand-up. Yeah. I remember him.
So
I remember him. And then I saw him popping up on the...
Yeah. So it'll... Yeah, I'm in.
For real?
Yeah, 100%.
That's dope.
100%. So, man, I really appreciate you coming on. I know when we close, we're going to do that 100,000 follower dance.
But only in boxers.
No, pero...
Manny,
come
on, dude.
If you know, I'm wearing like the tidy whities. Yeah, like está pasando.
That's right. We'll do the dance.
We'll do the dance in closing.
Absolutely.
Oh, man, I messed up, Albert. I unplugged it accidentally.
Manny unplugged. For those listening at home, Manny unplugged his. Oh, that sounds way better now. Did we even record this podcast?
I'm back.
That sounds way better now.
So real quick, I think you're an amazing comedian. But one of the cool things is now folks know your story. And I think your story is incredibly inspirational, and some closing words to the students, everybody in our community, people all over that are going to be watching this podcast, just some motivational, inspirational stories. And I think while people see you, they see the skits, but sometimes they never heard maybe that backstory. Right. And I think your story in itself, the grind, the path, very powerful. Especially now you got the good juju, no more headaches.
Thank you. That's right. Thank you.
But those are incredibly inspirational stories. So some final words to that extent.
Not everyone's going to believe in you, and not everyone's going to hear your dream out. And that could come. Can we get a zoom up on the camera here? That could come a little bit of piano. That could even come from family members. This is true shit here. Like, sometimes you have to root for you. That's real. That's real, because you're gonna have people around you that are gonna be very, for no fault of their own, right? We've all been institutionalized to take the more the more conservative road. Yeah, the less gamble. You know, go to school, do this, do that. But if there's something that keeps itching, you know what I'm saying? Si tienes una picazón.
Un poco taco.
Un poco taco. The taco could be the trust in yourself that you could do this, and you could be your own cheerleader. And there's going to be nights where no one's going to cheer for you. No one's going to give a shit that you sold out this event or whatever. Don't do it for that. You know, really do it for yourself. Do it for that kid do it for yourself when you were a kid, that you needed someone to tell you, like, hey, no, you could do that. Like that thing that you want to do, that you know, you a little mayor, you want to be a little mayor, that little, you know what I'm saying? That they that's how they talk to you, right? Oh, you want to do a little politics stuff, and you're like, I do. Like, why are you talking like that? I do. You know, and maybe one day I want to be president. I don't know if that's, you know, but that's a to a little-minded person, to an ill-minded person, that's a crazy thing to say. But for you, for someone who thinks like that, look, you're mayor now of a city, you know, and we're gonna find out if people know you now when we knock on the
Cowpen Road.
But yeah, that's my biggest thing, dude. Like. Do it for yourself. Do it for that kid that might need, that will feel seen when you represent them in a bigger stage. You know what I'm saying? That's important. That's very important. Bet on yourself. Bet on yourself.
And there you have it. Mario Yamil, incredibly funny guy, but more important, incredibly inspirational, motivational.
Good looking.
Tune in next Wednesday on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. What's up with the dance?
Before that, can I fluff you for a second? You're very down to earth dude, which is very important. Very important. You don't come off pretentious at all. I've heard so many good things about you. The cafe is great. You have an entrepreneur mindset, which is great for a city, for a community to keep growing. You talked about certain things. I don't want to get into it, but you talked about certain things that are very progressive. Moving forward, you seem like a great guy, very transparent. It's an honor to have you running the city, man. Manny Cid, thank you for having me on, dude.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Y ahora a bailar.
A bailar, dale.
Oh, nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. we got it, bro. Shout out to our sponsors. We're powered by Miami Lakes Auto Mall. Thank you, Fred. You're a great man. Thank you for always helping out. They're located at 16600 Northwest 57th Avenue here in Miami Lakes. Their phone number is 305-455-3510. Our mural, I know que Ramil thought the mural was fire, man.
Yeah,
fire.
Absolutely. Love it.
Grisel Gajano, a local school counselor who painted this at night. Her phone number is 786-353-8608. We had Gaucho's Gourmet Market of Miami Lakes sponsor the food today. Thank you, Eddie. You're the man. 7357 Miami Lakes Drive, Miami Lakes, Florida. 305-384-1334. Tremendo empanadas, parrilla, I mean, you name it. Really, really good stuff. And our film production team, Matter Lakes Broadcasting. This is an amazing group. And the roadcaster, Enrique, appreciate you, man. Harold, appreciate you guys. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Appreciate you guys.